Today we're talking drive modes in the Z06. Before I purchased this car, I didn't know much about the drive modes in it and how much they could really change the car's character. There's not a ton of good information online. There's a lot of just incorrect information online. So today I'm going to talk about what I figured out through driving this car a bunch, both on autocross and track days, and kind of what drive modes are effective for what situation. So hopping right in here, this is the base Z06. So you could option your Z06, buying it new, with a mode selector down here. I think that was in 2010 or so, maybe 2009. This is a 2006, so that wasn't even an option for this car. On those cars, there's a drive mode selector here, and there's multiple stages of traction control, which I don't have. So turning on the car here, in the base Z06, there are 4 drive modes. The first is the one that the car will always start in, which is traction and stability full on. If you give this button one press, you will get traction system off. What that's gonna do is it's gonna keep the stability control on, but allow the traction control to be off. We're gonna talk about that more in a second with some example. Press and hold is going to turn traction and active handling off. So this is traction control and stability control. This is full off. There's another drive mode that's a little harder to access. So if we turn everything on again and give a double press to this button at just the right interval, we'll get to competitive driving mode. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna give us more slip without allowing us to do anything really, really stupid. So for all the on-road driving, just like going places, I leave TC full on. I have a really good set of tires here, and it's actually pretty difficult to break traction, even in first gear. And so I leave, mostly everything on all the time, unless I'm going out to do something spirited. Then I'll remove some of the levels. The next step I make is to go into competitive mode. Competitive mode allows you to have a lot of traction control slip, which is slip from the rear wheels while going in a straight line. And it will also allow you to do power slides. It will limit your power slide to probably about half a second or a second of slip before it starts to use the brakes to torque vector you back into place. The only time when I turn things full off is at autocross. There are some weird things that happen with the traction control and how it is linked to the ABS. Or I guess the stability control is how it's linked to the ABS. And where if you're going around a corner hard on the brakes, the weight's all on the front wheels and the back kind of wants to slowly step out, it will activate ABS, right? Because the back's getting really light, and the car will wash out in the front because it activates, reduces your brake pressure everywhere. And so I really like full off when I'm doing, serious competitive events, because it allows you for harder braking, by a significant margin than what you can get in the other modes. But what I'm gonna do now is show you a quick example of each of the 4 drive modes and how they're going to adjust the character of the car. Obviously, I'm in a fairly secluded location here, but I'm not gonna do, limit braking at 70 miles an hour, which is, gonna show you a lot of what's happening at ABS and stuff like that. But you'll get a good sense of what's going on. So starting the car up, let's throw it into normal everything. This is how the car would start at any, regular time. I'm gonna put the windows mostly up so we don't get any bad wind noise here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the wheel left coming out of here and floor it. Right, and we're gonna see what happens. So if I'm coming out over here, again, there shouldn't be really anyone where I am right now. So if I'm coming out of here and I floor it. So what it did there, obviously I had to catch a bit of a slide, but I could feel the whole time the car trying its hardest to stabilize the car itself. With a car like this, at any point when you're doing something particularly stupid, also sorry for my track pads, when you're doing anything particularly stupid, the car can bite you. You should never really rely fully on the traction and stability control systems. But there I was able to really feel it trying to pull me back in, and in that situation with TC fully off and the same inputs, we would have done a big spin there. What TC did for us and what stability control did for us is limited the power going to the rear wheels. It still allowed for a bit of slip to, have the maximum amount of forward acceleration, but it didn't really limit us past that. So the next thing I'm gonna do is put it in just traction control off, which is one press on the button down there, and we'll spin around. What TC off is gonna do is it's gonna be a little more lenient, but it's actually, what happens is it reels you in a little bit more than full on, because it allows those rear wheels to spin up a lot more, which then will most likely engage stability control in a bigger way, just because there's gonna be much more slide happening. So I'll do the same thing here where I'm turning left coming out of here and mat it. So same exact situation, much bigger slide. Again, I felt stability control doing a little bit of stuff there. I didn't have to put in quite as much input as if I were just, you know, having things in full off. But you could see there how there was a lot more slide in the rear. As I stayed in it, the tires just kept spinning. The car's geared to go about 60 miles an hour in first. And so the wheel speed gets pretty high pretty fast. TC off is good. It still has that weird ABS thing where you'll get kind of iced out on the ABS occasionally, which I can't show on public roads. I mean, I could, but you'd need to go so fast. With TC off, it obviously allows for a lot more slip. And, you know, in a TC, what it really helps with is if you wanted to go like drag racing or something, you know, where you want to allow the rear wheels to slip so you can control traction by yourself, but you want to still have stability control on, so if something really bad happens and the car gets unsettled, stability control is there to help you. TC is full on now with one press again, turns traction system on. And if I double tap, we go into competitive driving mode. This is my favorite mode to be in on like a spirited drive because it allows for slip and it allows for drifts. But if you do something really dumb and something unexpected happens with the car, it will bring you back into place. So this is what I do. This is the mode I drive him on track, for example, where I want to be able to slide the car a little bit. I want to be able to have fun. I want to be able to explore the limits and feel how the car acts at the limit. At the same time, I don't want to, you know, lift off in a corner for some reason and have the car, you know, have some sort of bad liftoff oversteer event, which, you know, the stability control would still prevent. So again, we'll mat it and go in competitive mode here and see how the car acts. So again, a lot more slip there, a lot more slip than we had, because now the car is limiting the you know, the traction a lot less. Again, this is a really fun mode to be on the street and on track because it just allows you to have a lot of fun with the car while still feeling that there's a bit of a safety net for if you have a really kind of code brown moment, that you're not going to bin it. And obviously, as you see, you know, we had a lot of slip there. If you're not catching that slide, the car is going to do something that, you know, the car is going to slide and you need to be there to catch it. But it's the competitive mode is really for, you know, those unexpected events that happen in a car where you're not fully understanding what's going on, or you make an input that's too aggressive at too high of a speed and the car, you know, the car reacts. In competitive mode, it'll still be there to save you. So obviously the least intrusive mode, and this one we're just showing for fun at this point, is going to be full off. So one press again turns traction system and active handling on. So we'll wait for that for a second, and then I will do a long press on the button and it turns traction system and active handling both off. I will say this is going to be just a really big slide. This is turning everything off. And this is the best mode to be in autocross and stuff like that, because no stability control is affecting your braking system and stuff like that, which otherwise, you know, the brakes are gonna be fluctuating to take control of the car again. But in this mode, that just doesn't happen. So let's do this one more time. So as you may have noticed, these tires are really grippy. And when the car gripped up there, it snapped back. That obviously shows, you know, how violent this car is going to be when everything is full off. Luckily, you know, there's no one around me, and you know, I'm in an empty, you know, commercial lot right now on the weekend. That's what's happening with the drive modes. It's really a, you know, a use case. I would not drive around with everything full off all the time. Obviously, if you're planning to do some high-speed maneuvers, which is easy to do in the Z06, I would keep at least some sort of thing on in case, you know, a deer runs into the road, or if you're on track and, you know, there's someone had a spill of some sort of fluids, and you want something to be on so that the car can help manage its stability. I really like the drive modes in this car. I know that with the, you know, the newer years when you get magnetic ride, you get all those drive modes and stuff like that. That obviously would be fun to play with. I'm a big fan of like playing with the electronics in a car and seeing how it acts. But I hope this was informational for anyone that was curious about it. I didn't find a lot of good information on it when I was, you know, before I bought the car. But it's really just, you know, conditional to what you are trying to do. Full on, right, keeps everything full on, but still will allow for some slip. It's not going to cut it immediately, and it's not that aggressive of a cut. TC full off is really good for straight line stuff where you want to be able to spin the tires but maintain, you know, a level of
full-on stability control. Competitive mode is the best mode to be on track, in my opinion, as well as for spirited driving on the road, where you occasionally want to have some events where you have, you know, more slip. And then finally, full off is really good for autocross and the lower speed competitive driving events. Obviously, if you're a great driver, you know, turn everything full off all the time so you can, you know, limit brake at 100 miles an hour, but that's not me. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna go have a nice competitive mode drive home, and I will see you next time.